Hello and welcome to another episode of Bill Has Opinions, your can't miss Bill shit. I am Laura Lavoie and I'm here with Bill Perkins.
Hey.
He has opinions.
Hey, is what I'm trying to say. What's going on?
Are you trying to say that? Because if you're trying to say that, I'm leaving this show right now, which we will talk about. But how are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Down at the lake?
I'm down at the lake. Well, still kind of, but I mean, back and forth, I have obligations at the house. The lake's like an hour away, so we commute. We go back and forth. We park a camper at the lake, and then we stay here for a night or two, and then we go home for a night, and then we come back, and we go home. And anyway, yeah. Oh, that's my wife sneezing in the background.
Bless you.
She caught a flat the other night on the way here, so in the middle of nowhere. That was fun. Good times.
Oh, yuck. That's not
We sorted it out, though. That was the biggest event in my life over the last week, I'd say. That the tire and then having to deal with the tire.
Yeah.
The fallout from said tire.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. Yeah, nothing super exciting since the last show. Went and saw Dar Williams in concert, which was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And went to see the Kentucky Derby at a local bar, which was kind of wacky because it was the first photo finish in like 50 years.
Oh, wow. Did you wear a funny hat?
Well, I didn't wear a funny hat, but I wore the Horseology hat so that I looked like I had authority.
Okay, there you go.
It's the study of horses.
You wore a hat that had something to do with horses, so, close enough, right?
Correct. Yeah, I dug out a fascinator that I had for an old Dragon Con costume.
Yeah.
But it was very character specific. So when I put it on, I'm like, no, this is not going to work. Not right.
Did Matt at least wear his super horse?
He threatened to, but he did not either.
All right.
Although that would have been hilarious.
Right.
It would have been. I would have thought that was fantastic. But we'll see. So yeah, we got 2 more weeks, and then we'll see about the next race. And the horse that won was not a favorite, and he won by a literal nose. So yeah,
why the long face? So I can win this race.
Yeah, good for him. So what are you drinking there? What do you got?
I'm drinking a Sky Blue Kolsch from Carolina Brewery, which is, well, Emily told me it was out of Chapel Hill, but the can says Pittsburgh, which is about 20 minutes down the road from there. So
well, that's one of those instances where, like, growing up but going to school in Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
Bell's was listed as Kalamazoo, but the actual production facility was Comstock. So all of the Bell's beers, and even to this day, all Bell's beers say Comstock, Michigan on them. But people are like, where the hell's Comstock?
No, outside of Kalamazoo.
Yeah, basically.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm also drinking a light lager right now. I've got the New Belgium, just Mountain Time.
That's a good one, too. It's tasty, drinkable.
Yeah. Just a straightforward flavored beer.
That's what I'm all about these days.
I actually really like the graphic design on the can, though.
Yeah, I do too.
Big fan. Do you have all of yours the Carolina Brewing?
Yeah, that's all I got. It's left over from a party last weekend. Emily was having a staff party, and I guess that was the Kolsch that was in the cooler that nobody drank because everybody was drinking the dank IPAs or whatever. So.
So free beer.
But so when she was done, she was like, "Hey, there's a whole case of Kolsch here for you," and I was like, "Great,"
Well, and I have my standards right now: all day West Coast and all day grapefruit.
All right.
That's the best variety pack I can get at the grocery store.
All day.
Yeah.
I keep waiting for them to switch the variety pack of Sweetwater's to the one with the 3 beers I want in it.
Right. Well, we were just talking about Sweetwater before the show started. Yeah. Because I wonder what's going to change because Sweetwater got bought out last year or a year or so ago. So I'm wondering what they're going to do to like, are they still going to keep making Going Coastal? Or are they still going to make the
Hopefully
top
make it year round, because instead of a summer beer that I can't find.
Well, considering they got bought by a cannabis company, I don't know that their tropical IPA is going to be their top priority.
No, I know which one's going to be their top priority, and
Yeah.
I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it one bit.
No, all the ones that taste literally like you're sitting in somebody's basement while they're all bonging.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Blech. I do not like them, sir.
But that pineapple one's good if they don't lose it. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
I agree. I think it's one of their best beers.
yeah.
For sure. But all right, so will that's not at all a segue whatsoever to our actual topic. But let's just go there. Today's episode, One Hit Wonders.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think the way I usually start. Like, I remember my first one-hit wonder. I don't really remember. What would it have been? Oh gosh, Jackie Blue or something? I don't know. Something like that. Something in the 70s that Player, Baby Come Back. That was a big thing. That was on the radio then when I was a kid. You know, I remember riding around in the back of my dad's Monte Carlo, which smelled like cigarettes and natural light.
Delicious.
Typical 70s dad. He had a big thick mustache. He looked kind of like in between somewhere in between Stacy Keach and Magnum PI, you know, and driving around in that smoky thing. Had velvet blue seats, which held the flavors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I was thinking, because my parents didn't really, my dad listened to opera and classical music, so I didn't hear a lot of like pop music at home, except for like my sister and my brother.
Right.
So I can't think of.
But you said your brother was into alternative, like weird stuff. So he
yes. Well, he wouldn't have, except for like I remember, he made me a mixtape once that had Tainted Love on it.
Okay.
Which now I know is the one-hit wonder. Of course, at the time I wouldn't have known.
Right. Yeah. Well, that tracks. Actually, I remember that one fondly too, because that was probably my entry. Either that or Whip It were my entries into synth music, you know, which I've had like a lifelong, like, man, you put a synthesizer in a thing and I'm down, you know, like I'm instantly there. So, yeah, I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with Tainted Love. That's a good damn track, you know?
Right.
A cover, by the way, not an original song. That was a, you know, the lady who originally recorded Tainted Love was the girlfriend of, was it Mark Bolan? I want to say it was Mark Bolan. T-Rex?
Yeah. I remember there being a story of that nature.
Yeah.
For sure. But nobody knows that version.
She was in the car when Mark Bolan crashed and died, and she didn't find out he was dead for like 2 weeks because she was in a coma.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so when she woke up, they're like, oh, hey, by the way, Mark's dead. And you missed his funeral.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I mean, she was in a coma, so.
Wouldn't say I missed it. Yeah.
Sure, that reference was appropriate here. 100%. You know the other one that I was thinking of that I remember from as a kid, and only because it was the early days of MTV, and the video was so just out there, is Men Without Hats, the safety dance.
Wait, do they count as a one-hit wonder? Because they had a hit again in the 90s.
No, not that made it to the top 40. Oh, right, and we should specifically mention
Pop Goes the World didn't make it to the top 40.
It did not crack the 40.
Okay.
So that we should point out the definition we're using for one-hit wonder is the industry definition that it's someone who cracks the top 40 of the Billboard Hot 100. So you can be on the Hot 100, but you got to crack the top 40 to count.
Got you. Okay.
According to the industry, the industry standard.
Okay.
Of course, those numbers are weird now because
according to what I'm reading on Wikipedia, Pop Goes the World hit 20.
Did it? Because it came up on the list of one-hit wonders.
I think that they're a weird anomaly. Them and Golden Earring are two of those weird bands where they had a hit and they didn't have another one for a long fucking time.
True.
You know?
Well,
Golden
so somebody didn't update their.
Yeah.
But the other one which you went for too, and I think is also the case, is Aha, Take on Me. Because that video was also completely wacky.
Oh, yeah. Also, well, that probably.
Uh-oh. I think the thunderstorm hit you.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. You're back.
I don't know.
For the moment.
Just a blip. But the Buggles wasn't even a radio hit, so it couldn't really count. I don't think it made the Billboard charts. It was just a popular MTV track because it had a video, which a lot of actual things were big on MTV that weren't hit songs because at the early start of MTV, they just take whatever the hell had a video.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
They played shit out of Run for the Hills by Iron Maiden, too, because it was one of the few things they had a video of.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it was a concert video, but nonetheless, they had it, so they played it.
And when I was looking up, so what the Billboard Top 100, the version that we know of that we use today really started in 1958, but there had been other Billboard charts well before that, as early as 1913, which rated sheet music, which is just hilarious.
They had a track. I guess you got a track if you have any product that you're moving.
Mm-hmm.
Bean counters want to track it. What's good? What's hot? Like, do we need to print more?
Right.
What's blowing up the music store? Oh, everybody loves this. Some kind of the Sugarfoot rag. Everybody's buying that one. They're beating that one out on the pianos at every bar. Like, better print some more sheet music for that. That's crazy that they did that, but I kind of see it.
Right. And then jukebox before radio, like DJ was the number that they counted. DJ plays and requests and yada yada.
Yeah.
Jukebox plays and purchases were what the
Nickelodeon they would call it, as was the parlance of the day.
and it wasn't until 2013 that they started including YouTube streams. So
they have to change with the times. Like, where's the thing at? How are you going to track it? Because I'm sure YouTube and streaming, like, if they didn't pivot, they'd be like, they can't really, like, album sales doesn't really tell the same story it used to.
Exactly. Like not the newest Taylor Swift, but the last Taylor Swift, when it dropped on Spotify or on streaming services, every single song charted.
Right. She had like 15 songs in the top charts, instantly, which
at the same time.
Yeah, which was like, I think the only time that had ever happened.
Yeah, it was at least the first time it happened, and I don't know if it's happened since. She did just release another album, but
right.
Also, Taylor, I do have some advice for you. Maybe not an album a year. Like, build it up a little. Like,
roll back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll say that because you remember when Adele used to drop an album like once every 5 years. I don't know if she might still, like, she might only have 2 albums. I don't know what she's done, but I remember that. So she dropped an album and it was very well received, right? And it took her forever to come out with the second album. And so in the meantime, I swear every song off that first album became a hit because people were just clamoring for some Adele, right? So they just turned every song on it into a single. By the time the second album came out, you not only heard every song off the first album, you were tired of every song on the first album.
Right, exactly.
And so yeah, definitely make yourself a little more sparse and you'll get further.
Yeah, get people missing you. Get people excited about the next time something comes out. So
right, yeah, absolutely.
But speaking of the next time,
picture of a rainbow. We've seen more rainbows over the last 2 weeks.
I've seen the showcase of rainbows on social media. It's very, very nice. Very nice. Yeah. But not speaking of rainbows at all, but speaking of things that you should purchase.
Oh yeah.
We might as well take a moment to ask people, please send us some money.
Yeah, do it. I mean,
in exchange for the money, you get goods.
You know, this would work better if you would play like a Sarah McLachlan song behind this ad. And you made the cat have sadder eyes, maybe, or the octopus, the squid.
Oh yeah.
Give him like sad puppy dog eyes, and then play Tears of the Angel, and like, you know, just for I don't know how much we're charging for a shirt or a poster. For just $15.99, you can make a difference.
Unfortunately, we don't have the rights to Sarah McLachlan, but here's some acoustic music for your enjoyment. So please scan this and purchase a shirt or a Stay Shitty poster.
Just pennies a day. You can make a difference in the lives of two vlog people.
Hey, look, all I want is to buy a new camera. If I can buy a new camera, that'd be great. Like, and honestly, I just need like $150. Like, I'm not talking an expensive camera. I just want a new one.
So if we just sold a few of these things, that'd be swell.
that would be swell. So buy some of our things.
Yeah, right. You can put that as a quote on the next ad.
Buy some of our things.
Bill says, "Buy some of these things." That'd be swell.
We can do that. All right. So let's dive into some one-hit wonder bullshit.
Yeah.
In one of the categories you sent me, and I've got a short list of people, you mentioned specifically artists who had successful careers but only one Billboard Top 40.
Yeah. And I was saying, I think before the show, this was near and dear to me because one of the artists that I think of is Devo, who had the hit song "Whip It." When I told people I'm a fan of Devo, a lot of people who don't know Devo will be like, "Oh yeah, they had that one song," and I'm like, "Yeah, but that's kind of reductive to what they really were." Because they were, I mean, not just even just a band. They were also kind of an art house sort of thing. I mean, they were like, you know, they had a philosophy behind what they were doing. They put on a crazy stage show, and they were doing this. You know, people think of them as being an '80s band, but they were doing this in like '74,
right?
You know, and you watch old footage of them. Oh God, they would just. You know, and they're one of their songs that's not a hit was this one called Jocko Homo, which is one of their philosophical songs where it talks about the philosophy of Devo. And at the end of the song, it says, "Are we not men? We are Devo." And it said, anyway, when they played this live in the early days, they would get to that part or the part where it says, "We must repeat. Are we not men? We must repeat." And they would do that for like 20 minutes. A fight broke out in the club, you know, basically until people got mad.
Please stop.
Like, and I love that about it, that it was just trying to be confrontational. And like, you know, that was kind of like the art piece of it. It's like, how long do we have to play this one part of the song on repeat before people lose their shit? You know,
they learned. Well, and it's funny when you said Devo, my first thought was that song. And I had to rack my brain trying to figure out which one was their hit. I'm like, It wasn't that one, but that's the one I associate with Devo, partially because the song says Devo.
Right, yeah. But Whip It was their one hit.
It was, yes.
But, you know, they had a successful career aside from that. I mean, also got paid bukus to be in commercials and to write commercial jingles. I mean, they were in a damn Honda scooter ad in the 80s. I want to say they wrote a Diet Coke commercial once. I don't know. They, you know, so they made money.
Sure.
They weren't losers because they had one hit.
Right.
And then Mark Mothersbaugh went on to you know, score TV shows and movies and things, video games, whatever the hell. So, you know, they're just so much more than a one-hit wonder. But another one that instantly comes to mind, not really a fan of the band, but not a fan. I'm not anti them. You know, it's just not really my thing. But the Grateful Dead had their big hit. That's
probably actually the biggest example because they've had a career. I mean, people still listen to them. People still do it.
Yeah, the remaining members are still touring and calling themselves some kind of Dead something or other, and people still, you know, shell out for tickets. And gosh, they played a show at that thing in Las Vegas, that ball.
The Sphere? Yeah.
And I think that the tickets were probably $300 or $400, you know, and you know, It's funny because Jerry, who's been dead for well over a decade, I don't remember exactly when he died. Anyway, though, but there's a quote from him saying like if this thing ever became, just for money, he would have been out.
Right. Well,
good thing he died then, because the other members didn't feel that way.
Correct. But I think one of the things that makes Grateful Dead such an outlier is their fame was so grassroots.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
People literally recorded concerts and traded tapes. Like nobody cared that they recorded music. People followed them around the country. And in fact, a lot of Grateful Dead fans rebelled when they released their radio single because they're like, oh, now they've sold out.
Oh, yeah. No, I had a friend in high school who considered him. I'm not saying he is a deadhead. He self-identified as a deadhead. And he would call people who got into them because of Touch of Grey touch heads.
Yeah, that's everybody calls them that. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. That is because you're either a deadhead or if you got into them because of that, you're a touch head.
Yeah. I actually like some songs by the Grateful Dead, and I actually like some of their studio recordings. Not that one. I think American Beauty and Working Man's Dead, which both came out in 1970, are great albums. But those are studio albums, and you can't get a deadhead to listen to a studio album.
Right. I think
they're they're the two best. They have the best songwriting and the best production of any of their work as far as studio albums go. So
right, and because they weren't concerned about production most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a huge Dead fan at all, and like I don't think I've ever even listened to a whole album. And I definitely wouldn't want to see them live because jam bands are like my least favorite thing ever. So unless I was super high, I wouldn't be into it, right? But I think the song Ripple is one of my all-time favorite songs. Like that's just a great song.
Right. And that's off American Beauty, which was one of the aforementioned albums.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's written by Robert Hunter, who wrote most of the songs on that album, I think. A really good songwriter. So anyway, that's an aside on that one. The other thing that surprised me when I started looking into this, popular or successful careers, sans a hit or more than one hit, was Lou Reed.
Yeah.
Lou Reed with Walk on the Wild Side was his only chart hit. So that's cuckoo pants. I mean,
well, and that led me to a similar style music. Mm-hmm. Iggy Pop only had one chart hit.
Okay, what was that?
Candy.
Oh.
So otherwise, he did not chart. He did not crack the top 40.
And that was really late in his career because that was in the 90s. That was the one with Kate Pearson from the B-52s, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So crazy. Yeah, he just because again, I think like the Grateful Dead and like Lou Reed, the fans of Iggy Pop didn't care about radio play or didn't care about any of that. So. Yeah.
And it's funny. Actually, David Bowie recorded China Girl, which Iggy Pop had already recorded, but David Bowie only recorded it on his album because he knew if he did it, it would be a hit, and he wanted Iggy Pop to have retirement money.
Right.
That's it, because Iggy Pop was basically like destitute at the time. And but David Bowie was like rolling in cash, and he's like, if I record this one song, it'll go to number one, and you'll be set forever,
Right.
And I think, wow, that's kind of cool. Just to make sure your friends similarly, George Michael gave the other guy in Wham, like whose name eludes me, gave Andrew whatever. Something, yeah, gave him co-writing credit on Careless Whisper, even though he did not co-write it, so that he would have retirement money.
Right. Right. Well, so another example of successful careers, but only one hit. This one really surprised me. Well, it didn't surprise me, but again, it falls in the same category of like Iggy Pop, Lou Reed, and Grateful Dead. Was Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa.
Did he have a hit?
He did with Valley. Oops, there goes Bill. Let's see if Bill comes back. But we're going to finish this thought while Bill is gone. He had a hit with his daughter, Valley Girl. So that was the big hit. I realized that we're not as much fun without Bill around. Oh, there comes Bill. Here comes Bill. We're going to add him back to the stage. Excellent. There you are.
I accidentally hit a button or something. I don't know.
I thought the thunderstorm had gotten you. No, he had a hit with his daughter in Valley Girl. It cracked the top 40.
All right. Okay.
Now, to be fair, none of his other music is accessible enough for people to listen to it on top 40 radio. Like, no one's calling in to request, Muffin Man. Like, just nobody's doing that.
Honestly, Peaches and Regalia is probably the most user friendly track he recorded, and it's an instrumental, like weird kind of Berlioz opera type piece or something.
Yeah. I had a friend who he and his wife walked into the reception to Peaches and Regalia.
Okay.
I mean, they're weirdos too, so it made sense. And two other mentions I want to make for successful careers, but only one hit. Sinead O'Connor.
Oh, yeah.
Her only hit was written by Prince, and I don't think it's her best song. She had so many great songs.
What's your favorite Sinead O'Connor song?
Well, my very favorite is The Last Day of Our Acquaintance.
Same.
It's just it gets you in the gut, man. Like,
a good
yeah.
Yeah, it's about a divorce, and it's about the day you file the paperwork or whatever. Kind of. So
but it really gets you in the feels. And then she had a song on her first album called Mandinka that's just a good song. Like,
yeah, she used to have there was another one on her. Gosh, what was the other one I really liked? Shoot, I'm never gonna remember it now. I'll remember it like 10 o'clock tonight. That one, yeah.
And she didn't have a huge career, and obviously she was very troubled throughout her career and her life, and may she rest in peace. But I don't think the Prince song was the best example of her talent by any means.
No, I mean it's good, and she definitely tore it up. Like she kind of did that thing that people say Johnny Cash did with the 9 Inch Nails song. Where after she sang it, you didn't want to hear anyone else sing it.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I get you. It's not the best track on any of her albums or anything. So
right. And the only other one I want to mention real quick is Katie Lang with Constant Craving.
Oh, yeah.
And I am a huge Katie Lang fan, and I don't think Constant Craving is her best song. Like, she has so many amazing songs.
Lock, Stock, and Teardrops would be my favorite Katie Lang song.
That is a very good Katie Lang song. I like many, many songs. One that always gets in my head is Rose Garden. But she's done, so many songs, and I would rather listen to all of that than Constant Craving. Actually, the song I really liked was a B-side for Constant Craving on that same album was Miss Chatelaine, and I still think that's a great song.
She re-recorded that with
Orville Peck. Yeah.
So that's cool. Actually, did you see the Orville Peck Willie Nelson song that just dropped the other day?
I sure did.
Okay.
Which is a cover. So it's a cover. Willie Nelson recorded it before.
Yeah, like 10 years ago, which is crazy to me. When I it wasn't on my radar, but I read about it after the fact, and I was like, oh, he actually did this song years ago.
Right.
So
but yeah, but it was a cover of a song that someone else had written and released in the 80s.
Oh, okay. I find it I think it's kind of it's fun. Do you get the impression that both Willie and Dolly are kind of sort of low-key trolling people?
Trolling?
Well,
trolling. Yeah, they're like country fans, like your typical conservative. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
They're kind of like, I'm on my way out. I'm just gonna like, but not like in your face kind of, just like here, I'm just gonna do this thing and we'll see what happens.
Well, cowboys are secretly frequently fond of each other. It's not in your face.
Okay. Fair. But I mean, it's funny because he did it 10 years ago and nobody said shit about it. Now they're probably like, oh, because he re-recorded it with a gay man.
Right.
Now
right.
It's attention, like
exactly. But I do very much enjoy that song. Right now Orville Peck could read me the phone book and I'd be like, sure, that's great.
I think that's actually on his next album.
The phone book?
Orville Peck reads the phone book. It's
perfect.
It's from a small town in southern Nebraska, but still when he gets to the Yellow Pages part of HVAC. That's when it really
Oh,
gets.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the bridge.
No, in my brain, I was just imagining Anderson, comma, Aileen, Anderson, comma, Alan, Anderson, comma. Oh, it's just funny to us. All right. So now I just have a random list of songs.
All right, we better get on it.
Let's go with this other. You had another category when we were looking at the master list.
Oh yes, I said
right?
I want to say yeah, there were a couple of hits where the singer was actually an actor. Like that was their career, right?
Right. But then happened to record a song that happened to be top 40.
Yeah.
Some of them were trying to break into music.
Right. Yeah. But it happens. I mean, you know, one of the, and this is not really, I don't think she was a one hit. I actually think she actually had a second top 40 one, but one of the early ones I remember. Well, shoot. Okay, let's roll it all the way back. This is also not a one hit, but the earliest person that I can think of that was an actor who said, okay, I'm going to be a singer-songwriter or whatever, was Ricky Nelson, because his parents had the most popular show on TV, and his parents actually like sat down with him and like did the math, and they were like, if this song reaches 10% of our audience, like if 10% of the people who watch it go out and purchase your album, it will be number one. Because that's how popular we are.
Right.
Right.
How's that for we believe in you, son, except we really don't. It's just that we're really popular. So go for it.
We believe in us.
We believe in us. Exactly.
But so, you know, he was able to spin that into a successful music career. On the heels of that, Shelley Fabares from the Donna Reed show had the hit with Johnny Angel. Now I think she did have a B-side or a follow-up or something that cracked the top 40 but didn't go much higher.
Right.
So technically not a one hit, but this got me thinking about that. And then there was some, especially in the 70s, there were a handful.
Yes.
So Lauren Green from Bonanza.
Right.
This was one I wanted to go off on for a second, because he had this song called Ringo, and it's not about the drummer from the Beatles. It's kind of like a oh gosh, what was the guy who sang all the cowboy songs about shooting people down? Fucking something Marty Robbins. It's kind of like
right.
It's like a takeoff on a Marty Robbins song. It's like a ballad about a cowboy or something. Because Lauren Green's on a cowboy show, right?
Right.
And anyway, I guess it went to number one. So Ringo was some sort of, you know, outlaw or something, I guess is what it is in the song. This one is funny to me because I was in a band a few years back with Laura's partner Matt and some other friends, and one of our friends, we were writing a song about Battlestar Galactica, actually. And you know, Lauren Green was in the old version of Battlestar Galactica, and so we had this like weird Easter egg line in one stanza that borrowed a line from this Ringo song, which was like this deep dive Easter egg thing. Because first off, we were mostly singing about the new Battlestar Galactica, but we wink, nod to Lauren Green, and we stole a line from a song that was a hit song that Lauren Green sang, and that's the line was something about a spark of good. Like Ringo still had a spark of good in him, and we were writing a song called "Babe, Are You a Cylon?" and it mentioned, do you have a spark of good?
Nice.
So yeah, that's an Easter egg. That was one of those too clever for our own good things. Like nobody's gonna catch that. If you haven't watched this and you haven't had it explained to you, you would never not know. I wouldn't know. Like if Jimmy had just said, "Hey, can you put this line in there?" I would not know why.
Right.
But I like that it's in there, and I like that it's that deep dive of a bit of trivia. You know,
I love it. The one I wanted to make sure that we talked about as far as actors with songs, not even so much an actor. I don't think anybody realizes the original version of this. The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia was originally recorded by Vicki Lawrence, who not even just an actor. She's a comedian. She was
Yeah.
on the Carol Burnett show.
She's Mama from Mama's Family.
Yeah, she's Mama from Mama's Family.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's nutty. Like, why? Well, apparently she was actually married to the songwriter.
Right.
I was doing some background reading, and I was like, why did she decide, like, I'm going to go record this? But I guess that's the number one reason, I suppose. Same guy apparently was responsible for the song Honey, if you're familiar with that, which is about some dude's wife dying or something.
Right. Yeah, that guy he liked to write uplifting songs.
Right? Yeah. Another one, one of the guys from Starsky and Hutch, David Soul, had a hit. Oh gosh, what was the song now?
Oh gosh, I didn't write this one down. I remember it was on the list, but
I know I remember seeing it on the list.
Let's see.
Don't Give Up on Us.
Yeah, I just came across it at the same time.
I'm not familiar with it, but I might know it if I heard it. I don't know.
Sure.
It doesn't ring a bell. But I thought that was interesting too. That so during the 70s that was a thing. I guess if you want to count David Cassidy, he had a hit too.
Sure.
I don't know if he might have had more than one though.
I think he had more than one because of the Teen Idol.
Okay.
Experience. Because it's the teenage girls that drive a lot of top 40, right? Like,
sure, yeah. All you got to do is get on their radar, get a picture in Tiger Beat or whatever, and be moderately good looking, have your shirt off or whatever, and they're like, oh, I got to go buy all this stuff. Yeah.
Well, thing. And I wouldn't recognize that song. I might if I heard it. You had mentioned a song to me from the 90s that I was like, I'm not familiar with that song. I don't know that song. And so I listened to it and I'm like, 1 second and I'm like, oh yeah, it's that song.
Oh, yeah. Which
was In the Meantime by Space Hog.
Right. Were they had some, I feel like they cracked the top 40, although I don't remember hearing any of the other ones.
This one came up as the only one that cracked the top 40 on the list.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I saw they had a lot of more. Like, I thought they made that one album and then just disappeared, like fucked off, and we never heard from them again. Although this song was also featured in, it was in Guardians 3. There was a scene where they were floating out in outer space,
right?
In the colorful spacesuits,
right?
Because those movies are so very music oriented, but you also you tend to visualize what was going on when this song played,
right.
When I hear certain songs, I can't hear Mr. Blue by Electric Light Orchestra anymore without Baby Groot dancing around, in my head,
right. And the Space Hog song made me think of a song that I listened to a ton in college, was The Freshman by Verve Pipe, which was their only hit. But I've known that band for a long time because they literally played our college.
I thought Verve Pipe did they not have Photograph also?
No. Photograph was that a number one hit? Yes, that is not a number one, a top 40. It did. The Freshman came up on the list of one hit wonders, which, that being said, obviously the lists aren't always accurate. They also had the song Colorful, which was in a movie.
Yeah, I think I heard Photograph before I heard Freshman. Photograph was their first single that I remember hearing. And then when I heard the Freshman, I didn't even know it was the same band because it was so melancholy and different.
Right. We'll have to look that up because it did come. The Freshman did come up on a list.
I'm showing Photograph at number 6.
Oh well, all right then.
At least, it's on the it's 17 on mainstream, 6 on the alternative airplay list.
Yeah. So mainstream or the Billboard Hot 100? Because that's the list that they count.
Mainstream rock. Okay, so maybe it wasn't.
Yes.
Okay.
Which may be the case for Men Without Hats too. Because it's the Hot 100 that's the chart that they pull this from.
Got you. Okay. Fair enough.
Which is the one, when you would listen to weekend radio, with Rick Dees or whatever, and they would play the top 40 songs. It was literally the top of that
chart came out. I wasn't doing anymore because I was listening to college rock.
Sure.
Which is why I heard why
you heard it.
Yes, all right. So it makes sense.
Well, and I sent you because the Freshmen had two versions. There was a version that they recorded that was released on their independent album. That was playing like when we were in college, and that's when we heard it. And then they got picked up by a major label and they re-recorded it. And they're pretty much two different songs. I mean, the lyrics are all the same, but and I found the original version the other day when I was doing this research, and I was like, man, I got to listen to that. And yeah,
maybe that's why I thought, because when I heard the Freshman the first time, maybe I heard that version because I actually heard it on the college station the first time I heard it.
Sure, it would have been like the mid 90s.
Yeah, I was student teaching. It was 96, I want to say, early 96. I was driving to, it was in late 95. I'm sorry, I graduated in January 96. So that, yeah, it would have been late 95, like fall of 95. I was driving to and fro from student teaching when I heard this on the radio, and I thought it was Elvis Costello. It was so well written and so melancholy. I swear to God, like this is an Elvis Costello song I haven't heard before. Crazy.
Yeah, well, the Brian Vander Ark says when that version reminds him of like if you were recording a Harry Chapin song.
Okay, I can see that too. Yeah,
that tracks. Whereas the version, the major label release was like, to me, it sounds angry, whereas the original version to me sounded really sad, and that one sounds angry. So yeah. All right, so just got a random list of songs.
I wonder if Harry Chapin had. Did he have more than one hit song?
I didn't see him on the list. I mean, I know he had one hit song, but I did not see him on the list.
I've only really ever heard two of his. Like I'm aware, "Cats in the Cradle" and then the Taxi Driver one are the only two songs I know. Although I never heard the Taxi one until I was in college, so I suspect it wasn't much of a hit. I don't know. Hey, anybody out there in our listening audience can follow up on that one. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know. Maybe Harry Chapin is one of those people too, who had like a successful career, so to speak, but not a lot of hits.
Well, and there were a lot of like those like 70s singer-songwriters like him and Cat Stevens and John Denver. Like they may have had a few hits, but they just weren't, top 40 radio type bands, I don't
know if I'd lump John Denver in with that. I mean, goddamn, he wrote a state song.
Well, sure, but he's still a singer-songwriter. Like he wasn't doing like, big pop hit productions or anything. He was just writing music.
I know. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But he had at least like three.
Yeah, he did have a handful of hits, but
yeah.
I just don't associate him with that.
My grandmother loved the shit out of John Denver.
I love the shit out of John Denver.
I mean, I do too, but not in the way like my grandmother was. Like she was like, I don't know, like I mean, like she was like if he was coming around, she'd go pay good money to go see that. I'd be like, I like John Denver's music. I'll listen to it if it's on. I'm not probably gonna. I wouldn't have shelled out money for John Denver tickets, but she did. Hey.
All right, so random list of songs. Until we run out.
Another crazy aside. This is also. Sorry, I meant to say something about this earlier. Top one hit wonders that were not in English.
Oh yes, I definitely want to make sure we talked about this.
Okay, what do you got on that one?
I got the one that you have. I mean, 99 Luftballons is the obvious choice, right?
Okay, I was going to talk about Sukiyaki.
Yeah, no, that's the one that I think, because after you told me you wanted to talk about it, I looked it up, and holy shit, that's some weird stuff. So yeah.
Okay, so sorry. And the thing was, I wanted to do an aside about it because one, it's a foreign language song. They're only like, in my recollection, I think there's only about. Well, I found a list from 2000 that said, 2020 that said there were had only been 8 non-English hit songs. There's probably been 2 more since then because of the influence of reggaeton or something, like some Latin influence. Like we probably have more now because there's a lot of, there's a lot more Latin influence in our pop music, I would say, in the last couple of years. But anywho, let's say it's less than 12. Okay. But one of the early ones from the early 60s was a song we call Sukiyaki. It's not the name of the song. Some DJ played it one time, and I guess he couldn't pronounce the actual, and I also failed to be able to do that unless you have it written down somewhere. But it's because it's a whole phrase. And the phrase in English is, while I walk, I look up. And the song is talking about this guy who's trying to keep a positive outlook while inside he's dying, kind of.
Right.
And it's one of those. Also, this is a kind of another like category I almost want to put in here, which is songs that have an upbeat sound but are melancholy in lyrical version.
Right.
It's one of those too, right? Like, because this guy's talking about how like he's trying to be upbeat but he's dying inside. But you listen to the tune and it's like so like it's just so upbeat and peppy.
It has that very like 1950s, 1960s like quality of music that
it's hard to listen to it and not fucking like it. Like it's a thing I actually queue up like a couple times a year, just be like, I'm gonna listen to play Sukiyaki for me, Alexis, and it'll play it, because I like the song. But and then there was an English language version that still did the melancholy verses, but it's not a straight translation. It's somebody who's heart sick, but not in the same way as this guy. I feel like I read one analysis that said it had something to do with the war, like it was about loss of relatives or something like that. Like I don't know how true it is, or maybe that's just something I'm misremembering. But anyway, the American version, had lyrics that weren't a straight translation, but I guess caught the mood, sort of like that. It should be a juxtaposition of melancholy lyrics with a jaunty song.
Right. Well, so what struck me most about this song and the story about this song is because it touches on one of my biggest pet peeves. Because, like you said, in American radio play, somebody just made up a name for it, which is sukiyaki, which is actually a type of Japanese food. It's a Japanese dish. Right. It has nothing to do with the song. It was just a Japanese word that this guy knew and started calling it that. Which the analogy I read, it was like if somebody else played Moon River and called it beef stew. Like, it has nothing to do with it. But honestly, that is one of my biggest pet peeves. And we live in such a global world. I am so over people not taking a minute to learn how to pronounce something that's not in English.
I get you.
Like,
I had the same, when the aforementioned student teaching was happening, I was teaching elementary art, and I had a new kid come into class one time, and they were Korean, and his mother was saying, she told me what his name was in Korean, and then she said, you can just call him Joe, or, and I was like, no, what's his name again?
Right.
It was like Nyun or something, and I was like, okay, I can sort that out. Just let me say it a few times, I'll get it, Like,
right.
We don't need to call him Joe. Like he doesn't need to be Joe. Whenever I was in French class or whatever, they were like, je m'appelle Guillaume, and that's fine for French class. But one time we had a transfer student who was from Haiti, and he came in and he got immediately sent to French class because he couldn't speak English, And so
great. So teaching him French class is somehow going to teach him how to speak English.
He became the French teacher's problem, is what happened.
Right, exactly.
Like she became like his sort of, she became the ESL teacher for him, even though that wasn't her job.
De facto translator.
Yeah, essentially. But so he came in though during my period, and she was like having us go around and introduce ourselves. And I said, Je m'appelle Bill. And she was trying to correct me and make me say Guillaume. And I was like, that's not my damn name.
Right. Exactly.
Like, this is different. This is different. I'm not in French class now. I'm introducing myself to an actual person who speaks French. And when I go to France, I don't suddenly become Guillaume.
Exactly. Although it's funny you say that because in Spain, first of all, I love the way that Laura is pronounced in Spanish. So I'm like, please say my name. Because in that case, it's just a the pronunciation.
Okay.
It's not even like a different name. It's just a pronunciation. But somebody actually did look at Matt's passport and thank him and said, gracias, Mateo. And I'm like, it doesn't say Mateo. But they literally looked at it and said Mateo.
But they knew he took Spanish in high school. They were like,
I thought it was cute because I like that. I think the name Mateo is adorable.
Mateo is actually. I think I would be okay if my name was Matthew and they said Mateo. I just don't like Guillaume or Guillermo. I think that's a shitty translation of William.
Well, I mean, it's the translation of William.
Have you ever met a Spanish person named Guillermo though?
Yes, I knew Guy he was actually from Portugal, but Guy is short for Guillermo, and I know a French person named Guillaume.
Okay, well, I never met any, so I always felt like it was just kind of like contrived or something.
No, it is 100% the actual translation of those names.
I take less offense to Wilhelm in German class because that's the same name.
Guillaume is the same name. It is the same name. But yeah, no, we had a tiny house friend, Guillaume, and he was from France, and he was a photographer. Actually, most of the pictures of our tiny house he took. But my favorite Guillaume story was he and his ex-girlfriend traveled all over in their tiny house, and they went to Quebec. And he's like, oh, that's great. I'm French. I've got this. I can speak. I can do this. I can do. And he talked to the first couple of French Canadian speaking people. And he's like, I didn't know what they said. I had no idea what they were saying.
It's a different thing.
The French Canadian is a very different language, apparently.
I don't even know what the fuck these people are about.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what he said to us. But Guillaume was a good guy. I really liked him. But his name was Guillaume, and he was from France.
All right. Well, maybe I'll take less offense to it now that I know it's a real name. I just always
I promise you a real name.
This is just a Francophile version of Bill, and I'm like, I don't like it. It doesn't sound right to me.
Well, but I mean, to your actual point, someone named Guillaume is named Guillaume because
when he comes over here, he doesn't become Bill, right?
Right, exactly. Well, in fact, the Guy that we knew, he was Guy because
which is their version of Bill, right?
Which is it's kind of the shortening of Bill. But which, by the way, Bill, that's a weird thing too. William is shortened to Bill. Let's just talk about that. There's no B in the name Bill whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. How does you tell me this? How does John become Jack?
I have no fucking idea.
Or what is it? Or what becomes Hank? I can't even remember now.
Henry becomes Hank.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, no, they make no sense.
Charles is Chuck, that. I don't know.
I agree. I completely agree with you there. Those are very confusing.
Peggy becomes. Oh, sorry, Margaret becomes Peggy.
Yeah.
What? That's my grandmother. My grandmother was. My dad's mother was a Margaret who was a Peggy.
I have a friend named Margaret, and they were gonna call her Peggy, but after she was born, they were like, "Nope, she's just Margaret."
Yeah,
they just called her Margaret her whole life. But no, those are valid and important questions. We'll have
to have a show on names.
On shortened names, the history of shortened names,
or just names. We'll just talk about names. The name game. How about that?
Yes, I'm willing to do that as long as it doesn't devolve into the other pet peeve of mine, which is where people start making fun of names that are not names they're familiar with, because that pisses me off to no end too.
What if they're Asheville names though? Are those okay?
Well, it depends. If somebody's name is like Fairy Flower, I will gladly make fun of that person.
Okay.
But if the name is just,
if it's just ethnic or something and you don't want to deal with it, right? Yeah, I get you. But yeah, if you're white people being stupid, like my kid's name is Apple, and you're like, no, it's not. Come on.
No, it's not. Well, I mean, we all know we're gonna
shouldn't be.
We're gonna preview that show right now because the Frank Zappa, to bring it back around to songs, the Frank Zappa story of all his kids.
Goddamn,
right?
yeah. Like,
and the story of Dweezil specifically, because they went to the hospital to have this child, and the hospital said, "What do you name him?" And they said Dweezil, and the hospital said, "No,
no, we don't do that here."
And they wouldn't let him put it in, so they ended up making up a name. There was like a whole bunch of regular sounding names, but like 5 of them, just smushed them all into a name. But Dweezil Zappa actually legally changed his own name to Dweezil.
Back to Dweezil, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
yeah, that's a whole show, so let's just not get too more sidetracked because we haven't even talked about another song yet that's of either of a foreign song that hit the hits, or B, a song that is a melancholy subject matter to a happy tune.
Sure.
Which way do you want to swerve?
I don't know. We have like 3 minutes to do that.
Terry Jacks, Seasons in the Sun, which is actually based on a French song.
Yeah.
Which who knows melancholy juxtaposed with joy better than the French, right?
That is true.
So Seasons in the Sun is about a kid dying, I want to say. But boy, does it sound like a peppy, like come up like good tune, right? Like, things don't become a hit sounding like a downer usually.
Well, yeah, no, speaking of it, I actually don't know if this one was a one-hit wonder. I think it was. I mean, I think it might be too new to consider it a one-hit wonder just because you never know. But that Pumped Up Kicks song, it's literally about a school shooting.
Yeah.
We were sitting in a bar in Spain and there was a cover playing. It was not the original version, but it was like the backing vocals on this cover were a children's choir.
Oh,
and I'm like, that just seems cruel.
That's stuff, right? Here's a song about it. Yeah. Well, I mean, if they got European kids to record it, like, hey, here's the thing that happens in America. You don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. Exactly. So
like over there, though, they just shoot kids all the time. So sing about this, would you?
Exactly. So we can't. Well, you also we can't cover everything, but you have in your little quote there, my least favorite song of all time, which is a one-hit wonder, "What's Up" by Four Non Blondes.
It's your least favorite of all time?
I hate that song so much.
Huh. Okay.
I hate it with the passion of 1,000 suns. If I never hear it again. The problem is right now, it's like all these TV shows and stuff are using it. So it comes on, I'm like, motherfucker.
Because it's been how many years since that came out? And we still don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on. Also, why is it "What's Up"? She never says "What's up." She never asks "What's up." She only asks "What's going on."
I don't know.
Those are 2 different questions.
You know what? It came upon trivia one night though, and I got it because like I was one of the few people who knew that the song name wasn't the chorus.
Right?
Like I was like, oh yeah, it's not this though. It's something else. It's like this, but not.
I know the name of the song, and it's only because I make sure I don't put it on any.
Did you feel like the name Four Non Blondes was a little reductive? Like it was trying to be clever, but it did it in a way where it had to like malign somebody else to be clever. Like it was trying to be like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of
no, I think that happens a lot.
It's kind of like how the Meghan Trainor song about "I'm all about that bass," no treble. At some point, she says something about like, I don't know, like all you skinny girls can fuck off or something, and she goes, just kidding. And I'm like, well, you're not just kidding because you fucking recorded it.
Yeah, you're not just kidding.
You had time to think about it. Like you could have cut it out of the song.
Right.
So it sounds to me like while this song is accepted by a lot of people as body positive, it's at the expense of someone else. Like, you know what? Like they don't have any more control over being skinny than you got over being thick. It's just what God gave you, or the gods, or
whoever,
nature, whatever. Fuck it.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying though. Like so
genetics.
And that always bugged me. Actually, that's the biggest thing that bugged me. I don't dislike the song "Hey What's Up," but I do dislike the name of the band Four Non Blondes because I always felt like it was reductive and it was trying to say something like, I don't know, kind of like blondes are all like vapid or something, you know?
Well, and I think it does come from that era of blonde jokes, which blonde jokes at some point replaced the Polish jokes because people started realizing, well, we probably shouldn't tell those jokes. So those jokes were about how stupid Polish people were.
Yeah.
And then blonde jokes became about how stupid blonde people were. And then I think it's just in the parlance that blondes are stupider than other people.
Yeah. Well, that's
which,
what I'm saying.
We do that even to be cute, like, and it's fine because they're cats, right? But the ongoing narrative about orange cats is they all share one brain cell. So, but we are saying that orange cats are stupid.
Right. Yeah.
So they don't care. But we have to categorize people. It's in our nature.
I guess so. I guess there's that. But yeah, but that always bothered me. So that's only, like I said, I like the song okay, sort of as a kind of a novelty sort of thing. Oh, that's another thing. Novelty songs. We're not going to get to them all, but a lot of novelty songs on the one hit wonders thing. People,
yes,
one-offs.
Absolutely. I noticed that when I was writing down the list. A lot of songs, even a lot of songs that might not have been like considered novelty, or like might not have been intended to be novelty, because they made it to the top 40 and became part of like the public consciousness. They sort of became novelty. The one "I'm Too Sexy" is obviously one of those.
Yeah.
Play That Funky Music. I mean, it wasn't recorded as a novelty song, but we use it as like a novelty now, right?
Yeah.
It's Butterfly by Crazy Town was one of the ones I thought about.
I could not believe that this is another aside I wanted to make real quick. I couldn't believe that Butterfly made the top 10 or or made it number 1, while Don't Steal My Sunshine only ever made it number 3, which is a way better song of the same kind of ilk.
Right?
Like it's like in my mind they're sort of cousins, you know. But I like Don't Steal, like I can still listen to Don't Steal My Sunshine and be like, yeah, this is a jam. And whenever I hear Butterfly, I'm always like, this piece of shit, you know.
It is a terrible song. It was recently used in a TV show, like a comedy TV show, like kind of not parodying it because they played the song, but it was just used in a funny way that made me laugh. Kind of like another one-hit wonder, and we will close out the show after this, is "Pump Up the Jam" by Technotronic.
Oh my God, that
which was most recently used as a running gag in the show Kunk on Earth.
Yeah,
which is a British comedy show that I don't even think I could describe, right? But it was a running joke in that show the whole time, and it was the funniest bit.
It was. I got to where I looked forward to that part in the show. Like, wait, at what point is she going to make the "Pump Up the Jam" joke?
Exactly, and the most hilarious part, I think, what made it extra funny and very British was, right, it started out the first episode a joke, and they played a small clip of the song. And by the end of the series, like she was playing the entire 4-minute song. And you would just sit there and watch it all. It was like, what's happening?
And it's actually, to be fair, those are "Pump Up the Jam" and "I'm Too Sexy" are actually two albums I purchased.
Oh yeah. I owned the "I'm Too Sexy." Yep.
I own both of those because I actually loved them. I love both of those. But Technotronic, oh my God. Like I to this day, I pump up the jam on the regular. There's actually a popular reel going around. I don't know if you've seen the reel, but it starts off and it's got the song playing and it's got this guy and he's got like a jar of Smuckers sitting on the end of the floor jack. Have you seen that?
Yes.
And he starts like making the floor jack go up. And it does it before it even gets to the lyrics, but it's like I remember falling on the floor laughing the first time I ever saw it. You know, it was so good.
Right. I'm afraid we're gonna have to call this conversation short, and if by short I mean it's been an hour.
I could talk for 3 more hours about this stuff. But anyway.
We could. So since we are over time, why don't you take us away?
All righty. Well, Bill Has Opinions is engineered and produced by Laura Lavoie. The opinions of Bill are his and his alone, unless Laura agreed with them, in which case they agreed, or vice versa. No disagreements tonight, really, except for "What's Up," which is a good song.
No, it is not. It is not.
Anyway, be sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Facebook. Be sure to hashtag Can't Miss Bill Shit or Opinion Gang if you have a question, comment, concern, idea for future show, whatever. You just want to shout out, say something to us. Feel free. We'll get to it. I promise. Be sure to buy our merchandise. We got plenty of Stay Shitty merchandise for sale, and and like I said, that merchandise will put dollars in the pockets of us. So there's that. Anyway, other than that, be sure to tune in next time when we'll come at you with what are we coming out? What do we got?
Well, it's a complex topic, but the gist of it is blogging, because both of us had really bad blogger accounts in the early 2000s. So we're actually gonna screen share and talk about them.
We're gonna talk about blogging. All right, yeah.
About our blogs in particular.
All righty. It's gonna be a self-critique of blogging.
Yeah, I think it will be. Look at what we wrote 20 years ago and laugh.
How do we feel about this? Do I still stand behind this? I'm bad at. Well, I'm not bad at self-critique, but I am when I go back and read something I wrote. I'm usually like, I'm clever as shit.
I'm clever as shit. I did read some of my own stuff preparing for it. Well, we'll do it. We'll do it on the line.
All right.
So, all right, folks. We'll see you all in a week.
All righty.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.